We are live. It says it right on my screen, so it's a nice prompt. I just read that. You are live. Here we are.
Good morning, Keith.
Good morning. How are you, Stacy?
I'm good. This is going to be a fun show because we actually have all three of us in different time zones, but we're still making the Thursday Live happen.
Making it happen. So
we're all in secret locations except our guest. We can share where he's from.
Right, exactly. And we're all going to wish that we're there with him. But before we jump into today's show about beautiful sunshine destinations, we got to do what we always do every week. We got to talk about mortgage rates really quick because we are in the mortgage spectrum. We're helping people refinance their houses. We're helping people buy real estate. Rates are still low, like historically low. Haven't changed in like 4 weeks as far as their historic low status. So still a good time to make things happen. If you want to buy that COVID-friendly house, if you want to refinance and consolidate all that debt and get a smoking rate, go do it. Now is the time. Seize the day. Having this little thing pop up on your monitor that says you are live getting a mortgage. So anyway, rates are still trending this way. Did you say we're going to get into like 2.5, Stacy, by when?
I don't know if I went that far, crazy town, but I did say lower. Yes.
Right on. Well, I wasn't here last week, and it was a great show with Jay, and I just want to share the numbers from last week and the week prior, just to bring everybody up to speed on our food bank donations. Between the last 2 weeks, we've had a total of 317 views. So there you go.
That's awesome. So we're going to do a total number for us next week, and we'll do one large donation to the food bank. So we'll share that with you all.
Yeah, I'm super excited to share that number. But so without further ado, Stacy, what are we talking about today?
So today we have on our friend Jason Martinson from our loanDepot Hawaii team. And I don't know. Hey, Jason.
Hey there. Good morning. We're live.
We're live.
We are. So Jason, I was introduced to Jason actually through Trevor Reese. They worked together at a previous company, and then Jason and I ended up at, I don't know if it was a new hire or a manager meeting, I don't know, but I met him and his team. And I used to live in Hawaii, so I've traveled there and seen their first office, and actually was there to see their second one, but it was right when everything started to shut down, so we didn't see each other. But anyway, so I'm just, I don't know, just Hawaii and Jason have a special place in my heart, and I just wanted to connect and share what him and his team are doing with just our viewers.
Thanks so much for having me on, Stacy and Keith. I'm super excited. So I've seen some of your episodes, love it, and just excited to be on, so thanks.
Yes, for sure. So give us a little background, Jason. How did you get your start in mortgage lending?
Oh, in just mortgage, I've been in banking my whole career, actually. I don't know if that's boring or not, but right out of college, I was in banking. And I was your traditional kind of bank branch manager, started there. But what got me excited into mortgage, it was 2004. We were trained to be branch managers. And at the local bank that I was at, we gave referrals out. So we didn't actually do the mortgages. And what I found was the mortgage people were having the most fun. Really, that was the motivation right there. And so that was an interesting time in what was going on at that great bank that I was at. That some of the teams split out between two different mortgage companies. So I made the leap back then to go into mortgage sales, full commission. I took my mentor's advice, saved up some money, and just jumped into a full commission sales job. Loved it and haven't looked back ever since.
Nice. That's awesome. So tell us about your team there in Hawaii.
Yeah, our team, the majority of us started back in August. We're only about 8 months with loanDepot. Fortunately, most of us have been together for a while. We kind of followed each other through different companies. We have a team on Maui, on that island, but the majority of us live on Oahu here in Honolulu. So our main office is based out of Honolulu. We have 6 salespeople. And we were fortunate also, and it's good timing actually, that we were able to bring on some of our operations team. So we have our own Hawaii underwriter. We have three processing with a manager and one processing assistant and a closer. So we got a full-fledged operation going on here in the islands.
That's great.
That's exciting.
Our niche, our team is all about, we love the full education, hand-holding process. So we help a lot of first-time home buyers. We do a lot of low down payment loans. Our state is known for jumbos and high cost. We do very little of that. I mean, we're mostly doing primary home purchases, first-time home buyer.
Wow.
What about VA?
Oh, go for it.
VA?
Yeah.
VA is a big part of what we do. I think our number right now is about 25%.
Wow.
VA. There's a huge military, population here, as you know. And we have a couple of loan officers that like to focus in on that.
Yeah. I really wanted to send you guys, or when I was going to visit you, loanDepot Aloha shirts. So we need to figure that out, Jason.
We were looking into that. And so when you look at who can print them, and there's a couple of companies out there that actually print them. Yeah. Their designs, though, it's very, it's not quite authentic. Oh. So we're looking for a Hawaii manufacturer. We'll find one and so we can get some nice purple and green shirts out there.
Right. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
So Craig, go ahead, Keith.
So I have a question. So I'm licensed in Washington, and a lot of folks on the east side of the state don't know that I can do loans for them. How does that work for you? Is there that perception there in Hawaii too? Like, oh, I'm on Oahu, but could I do a loan on another island? Is that a thing?
That's not a thing here. I think it's known that if you can do a loan here in Hawaii on an island, you probably can do it elsewhere. The question is, do you have the expertise or choose to? Because a lot of times we just refer to each other, even inter-island. I have one guy that's licensed in Oregon, but that's about it for now. I think we're looking at California. And not many people, as you know, are licensed here in Hawaii. So we do get a lot of referrals from our friends at loanDepot. But here on the islands, we might refer it out to somebody that's on that island. The value of what we do in retail is market expertise. And there might be a set of condos in a certain part of the island where you might just hand it off. So it happens. But we lend in all islands, even though we don't have offices on all islands. And it tends to work out fine. We know the appraisers and stuff.
Yeah, I've got 2 referrals with your guys' office right now, actually. So.
Oh, good. I hope it's going well.
It is. It's going great.
Yeah, we were the original team in Seattle, Bellevue that had the Hawaii license because we had a team member actually living in Hawaii that left right as you came on. And so we're one of the few that hold that license, but we still refer to you because you guys are the local experts. So you and your team take good care of the folks buying out there. So.
Yeah, we appreciate that. It's all based on the client's comfort. If they want to continue the relationship with someone on the West Coast, and we'll still help with advice and information. So yeah, reach out, definitely.
Yeah. What have you seen with the health issues and COVID with appraisers specifically? Just were they essential? Could they travel and do appraisals, or were you doing all not in-person appraisals? How did that look for you guys?
Yeah, in the very beginning, in lending in the state of Hawaii, or in banking, I should say in general, we were considered essential. The appraisers could still inspect physically. I guess you would define them as essential. Some of them, stuck with it, and some did not. Some would pass on orders, but it didn't slow us down. So I feel like with the shift in what Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the other agencies allowed, as far as giving more inspection waivers and allowing exterior only, while there were some appraisers that were a little, changing their business style, it didn't really slow us down with appraisals. Appraisals hasn't been a sticky point here. Now, we would like more appraisers, but they've done a great job. So it didn't.
We all would like more appraisers.
Yeah. I hear about Oregon.
Looking
Does
for
Oregon
a job.
still have that issue? Or in Washington? Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon is hammered. They have one of the fewest populations of licensed and certified appraisers in the whole state, in all the states. So their turn times are quite long.
Yeah. What about for what you're seeing, inspection waivers where you don't need an appraisal? Are you seeing some of those come out more often than before?
I am, absolutely, without a doubt, especially once you have it's really that 10% threshold. Got to get to that 10% threshold as far as a down payment. And we're seeing a lot of property inspection waivers is what they're called, PIWs. The one caveat to that is I don't know how fast your market is moving and what's escalating, but we have a lot of escalations going on right now, which aren't being able to be kept up to speed with an automated evaluation model. So those folks that are escalating 10 to 15% over the asking price or the listing price, they're having a hard time getting their PIW. So we are sending out full-on appraisers in those situations.
Got it. Okay.
So
yeah, our housing inventory is really limited. How is it in Hawaii?
Still very limited. Land is our issue. And then the speed of build, right? We still have builders with confidence building out here, especially on the affordable home side. What we call affordable, but many people wouldn't. So we still got builders doing their thing, but still not enough supply. And what we've noticed though in the recent months is still the prices have plateaued. We saw a small decrease, but I'll call it a plateau. They're not increasing, and I would guess in pockets we're seeing a little bit over asking, but it's not so much. It doesn't sound like it's as compared to Washington.
Well, we have under 1 month supply in our major counties, so that's the lowest I've ever seen. It was pretty common to be at a month and a half, but to be under a month is really tight right now for us.
Is that just not enough build, or there's also the COVID impact of people not wanting to list?
I think it's both, quite frankly. Yeah.
We have land constraints too, if you can believe that, because we have the mountains on one side and then the Puget Sound and the ocean on the other. So we just don't have a lot of land to build. And our building rules in Washington for COVID, we were one of the states to shut down the strongest in that place. They were not essential. They had to stop everything. And so we got kind of behind with home building. They're open again now, which is great news. But and people were fearful to, we were the first hotspot, right? I think in the whole country. So I think people were fearful to put their houses on the market, have people in their houses. So it definitely slowed things down. And now what we're seeing is, which Jason, I think you kind of alluded to on the pre-show, is maybe people don't want to live in the cities anymore. So where are people going? And
that was something I was interested to hear your opinion on, because we are seeing heavy interest, as we do from usually Canada and the West Coast. But a lot on the West Coast are interested in Hawaii properties right now, getting pre-qualified and starting to research some of the different parts of the islands. And so what I was curious of, is that what you're hearing? Is that some people are either trying to find a second home sanctuary? That's awesome. And what better place? Or are they really considering family moves because their employer says, you know what, I think we're going to allow work from home on a very long-term basis, and they're going to make their family move?
So I can speak for my two that I have that I refer. I won't say any non-public information, but one is a U.S. citizen and one is a citizen in New Zealand. So they're looking for a middle spot, and Hawaii is that stopover place for them. But the other one was they started vetting the process of doing that family move. They're looking, hey, I am now no longer chained to a desk, so to speak. So why are we sitting here in 200 days of rain and gray and the beautiful lushness? Don't get me wrong, we have some beautiful trees, but they're like, well, we could be anywhere right now. So they're like, island life, let's give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think people not just work with the schools. Now we have already announced almost all our schools are going virtual, public school systems. Now you're really not tied down, right? So now you're like, okay, if I'm going to be working and teaching remote, which was not fun for any of us end of last year, Why not do it when you can have an ocean or a pool in the backyard or somewhere else? But besides like beautiful places like that, what I'm seeing in Bellevue specifically is people deciding, and Seattle's in the news all over for this, people definitely leaving the city and trying to find even just larger properties in the outskirts of the Puget Sound.
Okay. And sometimes moving to the neighbor state, is that happening too?
Yeah, people are going to Montana. People are going
Idaho. Yeah.
It's not very affordable in Seattle, Bellevue, so that might be like it's still more affordable than where you're at, Jason. But I think people could potentially make the jump to Hawaii as far as price point. But others just want acreage and they want to move out in the country. And yeah, I know quite a few people heading to Montana, which I just love it. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, another conundrum that came down the pipe too is a lot of people that have been living in these really new apartment complexes with their significant others or what have you. Now they're at home, they need space. So we've seen a lot of the first section of millennials really make that transition out of the high-end apartment life into housing. So they've come to the table hot and heavy, and it's really put a lot of pressure on already small inventory numbers. Oh, wow. We got a question here from Christopher. So
Chris,
we find that most people go there with a pre-approval in hand and then just end up staying there in Hawaii.
What happens is they will spend a couple vacations here and they go back home, they talk to their banker, and their banker, wherever they are, will say, well, we can't lend there or anything like that. Or sometimes real estate agents would say that I need a pre-qual letter from a local lender. And with us living here, we're considered local. I think that's part of it, is they just fall in love, Chris. They've been here a couple of times, they've seen it, they fall in love, and they're interested. And maybe now they're making that leap, right? And wanting pre-qual letters. To eventually make the move, either permanently or second home or something, and they'll second home it, and then they might short-term rental when that opens back up. Who knows what they might do? Yeah. So,
Jason, have you been on the island your whole life? Were you born and raised there?
Born and raised on Oahu. I've lived here my entire life, except for 4 years where I spent it at Pomona College, which is about an hour east of the LA airport. So in LA, greater area.
Gotcha.
Just 4 years there, and that's it. But yeah, my entire life here.
Yeah, I think there's such a draw to the island because it's a completely different makeup than any city USA, right? So there's definitely a love affair with the ocean and the islands for sure.
Yeah. It's an experience.
Tell me if Eggs and Things is gonna make it through.
Some things that's gonna.
Eggs and Things. Do you know that restaurant?
Oh, you're getting so specific.
I gotta ask my kids if when we get to go back, we'll go to Eggs and Things.
You're probably talking about the one by the large shopping center, right? Or is it the one in Waikiki?
Yeah, there's two in Waikiki, okay. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, the Yelp report about that 60% number is kind of scary, but yeah, I mean, our restaurants are having a tough time. So I don't know about that specific one. I haven't been there recently. So
are you closed? Are they open? At what capacity?
Well, so most of our restaurants are open, especially for definitely takeout. I would say, I'm just going to guess, half of them are open for dine-in. Now, maybe less than that. Maybe like 25% are open for dine-in. I mean, I only do takeout. And the dine-in is, I think, at 50% capacity or something. It's very limited.
Yeah, I was reading this morning. I get some Hawaii news sent to me, and that your restrictions might get a little tighter in the next few days.
Oh, definitely on bars. That's the hot one. They haven't said anything about gyms, but yeah, they're going to be closing up bars. I think for 3 weeks. Yeah, and our numbers, relative, are not that, high volume yet. but we're seeing our numbers slowly increase as well.
Yeah, the hard thing is you can't go to a neighboring city if you need help. Like I'm actually in a location that's a hot spot, but locally some of the hospitals got full and they just went to the neighboring towns where you can't do that, so you have to be very careful.
Yeah, that's the largest risk I think for us. If we open up back the tourist industry, is to serve the population here as well as the visitors and serve them properly. And I think what they have to do is really analyze capacity and where they have expertise. And unless we have that under control, and I haven't heard a full-blown plan on that, I'm sure they're analyzing that. That's the risk, because we don't have time to fly people anywhere else.
Right.
We're gonna have to service them.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Here's an interesting question from Keegan. Jason, you mentioned this a little bit, but how does the market vary from island to island?
Yeah, so majority of the population is here on the island of Oahu and in the city of Honolulu. As far as it varying from island to island, it's a little sparse and more suburban on the other islands. The type of homes are similar though, just different neighborhoods. What you will see on islands like Kauai, Maui, and the Kona side of the Big Island are more luxury condos built for your second home. Sometimes they might timeshare it, things like that. That's the only major difference, other than Oahu being much more dense as far as type of housing. And so we have a lot of condominiums, and that's why I think on the mortgage lending side, having good expertise of the different type of condos and understanding where they are and if they have timeshare and are they a true condotel or are they just a regular condo, and that's research we help buyers and realtors do. And
you have a lot of lease land too, right?
We have leasehold land, not as much as before. One of the lease owners started allowing the homeowners to buy the fee on it. But yeah, there's still a lot of leasehold. I think more than other places. And we can lend on leasehold. It's just tough. What's tough is for the real estate agents to sell a leasehold property. Just with the limited lease, we always need a 5-year cushion at the end on our mortgage loan. And so you end up doing like 23-year mortgages. So while it is a little more affordable, the payment shoots up, right? And you got to worry about that. You got HOA dues. So we'll look at them, and it's just the real estate agents, have to work to market it and sell it. Mm-hmm.
That's unique. Yeah, it's a different world. We have a very small slice or percentage of leasehold land here in Washington, but it's a different set of rules that they play by there. Mm-hmm. So, how is the condo market going?
Yeah, I just looked at a stat this morning to prepare. Yeah. So on Oahu, this is super interesting. And when I was looking at the dynamic of different times, year to date, I think it said we are set on Oahu 73% single. No, I'm sorry, it's 95% single family home purchased transactions. The same time last year, we were 73% condo.
Wow.
So you're talking about your whole shift out of condo. Wow. I didn't know this until I read it. It just seems amazing to me that the condo demand, and I don't say there's still condo transactions happening. It's the mix between single family and condo has just
people want their space. Maybe they want like to be able to get outside and.
Yeah, I mean that's the listing in condos. I think just getting it on the market and listing is a little tougher. I think that's going to open up. But for that number to show like that, it was pretty significant of a change, because usually due to affordability, people will buy a condo. It's just year to date this year, they're buying single family. And so I want to look more at that.
What's a starting single family price point? Like a 3-bedroom and a bath and a half or something like that? What does that look like?
It's a big range. It depends which neighborhood. Our median here is $770,000 here on the island of Oahu. And so you'll find a range, let's say on your 3-bedroom, 2-bath, you could find something for $500,000, and it could go all the way up to over $1 million, depending.
Wow.
for
How
that.
close to the water is it, right?
That's probably pretty close to the water, and or nice views, things like that.
How was it preparing for the hurricane?
Yeah, I mean, we can laugh at it now that it didn't have a huge impact, but it always could, right? And for us, it's become a routine to prepare. Luckily, we were already overstocked on toilet paper and water, and so you just buy a few more food items. And no, we were bearing down. There was a lot of preparation on the windows and a whole bunch of stuff going on because you never know. We've had our share of big hits. This one, though, didn't hit as much, just heavy rain, I think, on Maui, Kauai.
Man, you guys got lucky.
We didn't see
so
much.
close.
Yeah, we were very, very lucky. But I think our communities are very well prepared. I mean, so much so that they had trouble getting people into our convention center as a safety house for some people. So we were ready to go. It just never quite hit us hard. Luckily, it just veered off, and you never know. That's the thing, is it could have been off track and veered into us. You never quite know what's going to happen. But we know that's a part of living here. You're required to get hurricane insurance when you own a property in Hawaii. It's required. It's not an option to get a mortgage loan.
What does that cost?
It's expensive. It's more expensive than your normal homeowners.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. But
cost doing business though, right?
It is. Just like, imagine if you got hurricane, homeowners, and you live on the water and you got flood, right?
Yeah. And volcano.
Volcano, if it's only on the Big Island and only in certain parts. And lenders are very adverse to lending in those parts right now. So it's tough to find one in those high risk zones.
So that's more cash transactions?
Are they?
Cash.
Yeah, there's some cash there. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So your team has always been kind of obviously separated on different islands. So you've been very good at managing in a remote environment before all of this. So do you have any advice or any suggestions on how you guys stay together as a team, how you communicate, things like that?
I would admit that I'm not the personal best at it, but yeah, we've had to do that with the different islands, just physically separated. It was nice before where you could visit them and do office visits, but in the sales meetings, we would do remote like that. And kind of dating myself is, I guess at this point, it's kind of archaic to have those large star phones, those Star Trek phones, where that's your conference call, right? We tried in the past to FaceTime them in and all that just to get more engagement. That didn't work well. So with the growth of like Zoom and WebEx getting better and Teams and all that, I think right now it's a lot easier. As far as tips go, I think it's just the routine of doing it. Just keep on.
Do you do like team lunches on Zoom or happy hour?
It tends to be more happy hour-ish. So it's usually after work, and there might be a cocktail or a beer, but not everyone drinks, and that's fine. I think that works for us. We don't do much lunches together like that, but a few happy hours every now and then is good. So we've done that as a big team, including operations. That helps. And yeah, I mean, you just do what you can there. For me personally, though, my only tip is one-on-one phone calls. You can't get away from it, and if I was to say that's the best part, that is the best part, or that's the most impact.
True. Still true today.
Yeah.
So right on.
I think we had one more question. Let me see. How is Fintech received in a smaller market island community when maybe they would prefer face-to-face interaction?
I think this is a good question for a lot of what people would consider small neighborhood markets or smaller markets, is how has the evolution of financial technology been assimilated into the communities? I would say it's accelerated at a crazy pace. You would think that everyone here wants to meet face to face, and that's the traditional way of doing it. Our culture is a lot on trust and experience with doing business with you. And how do you do that when everything is electronic? There's been great adoption to it. And for a company like loanDepot and some of our competitors, there's been pretty significant traction here where we've now become one of the larger lenders in the state. And I think that's true in other markets as well, where once they become accustomed, especially now where they're Zooming with their coworkers and to deal with a disclosure package and Zoom that conversation, might work for more people nowadays. Do you guys feel the same way?
Stacy?
I think COVID has made everything speed up by 2 to 3 years. I think we were leading it anyways, but to your point, Jason, other companies had to get in this game a little faster. We've always, had a love of tech and digital, and our marketplace in the city centers was very open to doing things non-face-to-face and digital. But in our outlying branches, it was all face-to-face. We still have community areas that are really having a hard time not being able to come in because we're just closed. And so we're requiring everyone to be at home, and that is hard on certain communities.
Yeah.
Even in Washington. Yeah.
Yeah, our offices are closed. We're still doing mortgages remotely, but our offices are closed. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Jason. I think we were trying to bring video conferences and chats to the consumer public, which, depending on what they did for business, they either adopted it or they didn't. So it was kind of hard. But now that they've had to adopt it in the last 4 or 5 months, that they're really receptive to it. And it just helps everybody go through the process quicker right now, especially with how much volume we have and moving through the pipeline, the technology and the video conferences. And I still see it in my clients' eyes when we're on the Zoom calls, when they have that moment of recognition and they're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Let's do that. And that's when I knew my client was on board and understood exactly what we're doing for them. So we can still have that. We're just not face to face anymore. Yeah.
That change of what the consumer's going to want when they start to realize I didn't have to drive in traffic for half an hour to go see you. It's going to become an expectation, right?
Yeah.
Just like all consumers in every industry.
Yeah. Yep. And in our industry, when they realize they can close a loan without providing stacks of paperwork, right? Like for the part of our clients that can get through completely digitized, they will never go somewhere else, right? They're never going to walk into a bank and say, oh, sure, I'll go home and get my tax returns and my pay stubs and it's anyone on a smartphone is not going back to the flip phone. So that's kind of the path we're taking our consumers on.
Yeah, if anything, it's going to cause fights at the backyard barbecue because one person's going to have sent in all their tax returns and documents, and the other person's going to be like, I just did this and I got approved. I don't know what you went through.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, hey, we're at our half an hour. Jason, thank you so much for joining us and getting up early so you could be on the call.
No, thank you. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
we appreciate it. Thanks, Jason. We'll drop you off, but just hang out in the background for a minute.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Bye, Jason.
There you have it. That is some surprising statistics about the single family versus condo market. It has completely 180 degrees.
Amazing.
That's crazy. Just reiterating.
We'll ask him in the after show where you got that stat. I'm curious now to see what's happening in Bellevue and Seattle with the same stat.
Follow up with that. So right on. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. We'll be back next Thursday at same time, same place at 10 a.m. And have a great week.